48 Chrysler, followed by a 51 Buick, and then a very old and vintage car which I can identify. Not entirely sure what model it is, but it's a very beautiful, well-preserved old Ford. And the gentleman, of course, has his driving cap, and he's driving what we see coming. 1949 Buick, this looks like, followed by a 31 Model A Ford Roadster. Now coming into view, a very unusual looking automobile, a cream colored car with red wheels and I'm not entirely sure what model car that is. The Chevy pickup truck that's following it is late 30s. I'm going to step out on the balcony and see if I can't get... Dave, do you know what that cream-colored car is? A LaSalle. It could be. We now have a small break in the parade, and the next units to come will be the Brownie unit, the Brownie Troop of Beavertown, followed by the Shamokin Fire Company. There you see the cloudy, overcast day that we have to endeavor to deal with. And in the background, the flashing lights of the Shamokin Fire Company. Here we have the Brownies of Beavertown in old-fashioned garb. They're dressed up in the Bicentennial dress, especially for the parade today. And they're each carrying a little flag, and they have one member carrying the national flag and another one carrying the Brownie flag. A very beautiful group of youngsters from Beavertown. The First National Trust float is right behind the Shamokin Fire Company fire truck, and the float will be coming into view momentarily. As you can see, Uncle Sam is on the float, and at one time I saw Uncle Sam up in the bank, and Mr. Eisenhart is Uncle Sam. That's a real live person, the Uncle Sam, and there are two young people throwing out freebies. There went a handful of balloons. Perhaps that was off camera, but the kids are scrambling out in the street picking up the balloons. And following that, we have the Super Service Garage float, a very beautiful red, white, and blue flag, a very colorful float indeed. As you can see from the, as I'm looking at the monitor, I see it's coming through very beautifully. A lovely young girl sitting on there posing as Betsy Ross, who is making that wonderful flag. A very, very, very lovely float, the Super Service Garage. And you see right behind the Super Service Garage float a Super Service Garage truck, which is pulling some of the equipment they have for sale. There's a Scout on the truck and some garden tractors, some small hand lawnmowers. A very, very impressive display by Super Service Garage, who has been an enormous booster and supporter of the Bicentennial activities in Beavertown right from the word go. Ken Nairhood, Gary Nairhood, and all of the folks at Super Service Garage have been most conscientious of the role that The Bicentennial will play in our small town of Beavertown, and they have given us maximum support, and certainly the float that they came up with is just part of the testament of their great commitment. We now have just saw the Southside Fire Company going through. The Southside Fire Company had two pieces of equipment, and Matterns Hatchery is now coming into view, the Matterns Hatchery float, and following that will be the Beaver Lutheran float. Again, the red, white, and blue colors seem to be the favorite colors of the entire United States of America. Matterns Hatchery has gone to the trouble of constructing a 200-candle birthday cake, celebrating the 200 years of our nation's existence. Beautiful red, white, and blue float. What you see in the background now is the Beaver Lutheran Church float, the log cabin. The Beaver Lutheran Church, of course, is a union of a charge from Beaver Springs and Beavertown, a very lovely modern church that is up the road about a mile from downtown Beavertown, located approximately midway between Beavertown and Beaver Springs and Beaver Township, which is joining Beavertown in this celebration. The horse on the float was made by Dan Regal, and it represents General George Washington at Valley Forge. You just now caught a glimpse of General Washington waving to the crowd. There you're getting a view of General Washington, played by Dan Regal and his horse in the log cabin at Valley Forge. Now we're going to pan up and we're going to see the Cindiette Twirlers. The Cindiette Twirlers are a group of youngsters out of Paxtonville, Pennsylvania, and we see them performing. They're up at the judges' stand, just beyond the judges' stand, performing some beautiful marching patterns. Paxtonville, of course, a sister community just 3 or 4 miles down the road, will be celebrating their own homecoming days very shortly. This today is July the 14th, 1976, and we're midway through our Beavertown Bicentennial Celebration Week, which started on Sunday, July the 11th, and will end on Saturday, July the 17th. Quite an impressive group of young people from Paxtonville in their black and white and red trim, and there are all shapes and sizes of young ladies there. I would say ranging from about age 4 to perhaps 9 or quite possibly 10 years of age. Zeckman's Butcher Shop is right behind the Cindiette Twirlers. Of course, Dick Cayley over there at the Zeckman's Butcher Shop, he had the good fortune to have the winning tug-of-war team in the recently celebrated Beaver Springs Bicentennial Days. I see Trent Mattern on the float, who is Bud Mattern's son, and he's registered into Rutgers University down in New Jersey. He's a New Jersey state champion in the shot put and is an all-American high school football player. There's Jake Zeckman and Mary. Dick, of course, himself on the float. Quite a colorful red, white, and blue float, and a very interesting and very, very fine effort out of Dick Cayley and the Zeckman Butchering Shop. The Middleburg Reliance Hose Ambulance is following right behind Dick. You'll see the Middleburg Ambulance, and followed by the Middleburg Reliance Hose Company truck very, very shortly. There we see the ambulance going by, and the hose company truck right on its heels. With the Crotcherville Fire Company, you hear music in the background. We should see the truck, the Middleburg Reliance Hose Company truck, momentarily. Yes, there it comes into the camera now. But we're getting a roll out the barrel group of music. It looks like they've got some